Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we want to discuss why people with self-esteem and confidence issues seem to be magnetically drawn to narcissists. It's almost like clockwork, isn't it? That beautiful, painful dance where vulnerable people find themselves entangled charismatic narcissists. Now, this isn't about victim blaming. Not at all. This is about understanding the psychological mechanics that make this pairing so devastatingly common. Because when you understand the why behind this pattern, you gain the power to recognize it, interrupt it, and ultimately break free from it. Because the more we understand these dynamics, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves and help those we care about. Think of it as the perfect psychological storm. On one side, you have someone struggling with self-worth, perhaps carrying wounds from childhood, desperately seeking validation. On the other side, you have the narcissist, someone who has perfected the art of spotting vulnerability and knows exactly how to present themselves as the answer to all your prayers. It's not random that these two personality types find each other. Narcissists have a radar for people with low self-esteem. They can spot the subtle signs, the slight hesitation in your voice, the way you deflect compliments, how you minimize your achievements or constantly apologize. These aren't flaws. They're simply human vulnerabilities that most of us have to some degree. But to a narcissist, they're entry points. And here's what makes it even more complicated. In the beginning, the relationship feels magical. The narcissist love bombs you with attention, compliments, and seeming understanding. They mirror your interests, your dreams, your wounds. They present themselves as the perfect partner who gets you like no one else ever has. For someone who's spent years feeling unseen or unappreciated, this feels like coming home. Finally, someone sees your worth. Finally, someone appreciates you. The validation you've been craving your whole life is suddenly available in abundance. But what you don't realize is that this isn't real connection. It's a calculated strategy. A recent study from the University of Alabama found that narcissists are significantly more likely to target people with visible insecurities, seeing them as easier conquests who will tolerate poor treatment longer. That's not a reflection on you. It's a testament to how calculated narcissistic behavior truly is. Now let's talk about how these relationships persist, often for years, despite the pain they cause. I call this the reinforcement cycle. When you have low self-esteem, you're operating from a core belief that you don't deserve much. You may believe, deep down, that love should be difficult, that relationships require sacrifice, or that your partner's happiness should come before your own. The narcissist intuitively plays into these beliefs. They create a world where their approval becomes your oxygen, where their happiness becomes your responsibility, where their disappointment feels like your failure. Think about it. When someone with healthy self-esteem encounters disrespect or manipulation, their internal alarm system goes off. This isn't right, they think. I deserve better than this. And they typically address the issue or walk away. But when you're struggling with self-worth, that alarm system is faulty. Instead of thinking, this person is treating me poorly, you think, I must be doing something wrong. Instead of, they're being unreasonable, you think, I need to try harder. And here's the truly insidious part. Narcissists are masters at inconsistency. They don't mistreat you all the time. Instead, they create a pattern of idealization followed by devaluation. One day they're singing your praises, the next they dump that insult/abuse on you. Then they apologize in grand style. Mind you, after doing something they know is potentially harmful to you. But they did it anyway. This intermittent reinforcement is psychologically powerful. It's the same principle that makes gambling so addictive. The unpredictability of when you'll get that reward, in this case, their approval and affection, keeps you hooked, constantly trying to recreate the good times. There's another layer to this that's important to understand. Sometimes, people with low self-esteem are drawn to narcissists because the dynamic feels familiar. If you grew up in a household where love was conditional, where you had to earn affection through achievement or compliance, where there was emotional neglect or outright abuse, then the hot and cold treatment of a narcissist might not trigger alarm bells. Instead, it might feel like home to your already faulty subconscious. This is what psychologists call repetition compulsion, our unconscious tendency to recreate familiar relational patterns, even painful ones, in an attempt to master them or resolve them. It's like your psyche saying, maybe this time, I can make it work. Maybe this time, I can be good enough. I see this all the time. Someone will describe their current toxic relationship, and then when we explore their childhood, we discover striking parallels. The father who was never satisfied becomes the partner who always finds fault. The mother who was emotionally unavailable becomes the lover who withholds affection as punishment. Sometimes, it may not play out exactly as it is spelt out here, but all in all we see that abusive childhood experiences play a strong role in why they stay too long in abusive relationships. It's not that you consciously seek out people who will hurt you. It's that your nervous system has been conditioned to interpret certain dysfunctional dynamics as normal, even as love. Here's another piece of the puzzle. Narcissists often present themselves as the missing piece to your life. They, in a way, position themselves as the solution to all your problems. Maybe not all your problems per se, but they try to be a solution to every single problem they know of. This will not be obvious. But when you think about the whole picture, this is what you'll see. When you struggle with self-esteem, there's often a feeling that something is missing inside you, that if only you had X quality or Y achievement or Z relationship, then you'd finally feel whole. Narcissists intuitively understand this gap and promise to fill it. You're lost without me, they might say. Or more subtly, no one will ever understand you like I do. Or, we're soulmates, two halves of a whole. This narrative is intoxicating when you already feel incomplete. The promise that another person can complete you, can give you the sense of worth you've been missing, is powerful. It creates dependency, which is exactly what the narcissist wants. The hard truth is that no relationship can give you the self-worth that needs to come from within. External validation is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much is poured in, it eventually drains away, leaving you empty again. This is why you keep going back to someone who has abused and insulted you several times. It's your inadequacy, but you'll keep thinking it's because you're meant for each other or something. So now that we understand the why behind this pattern, how do we break it? How do you protect yourself if you're vulnerable to narcissistic manipulation? First, recognize that healing your self-esteem isn't selfish, it's essential self-protection. When you know your worth, you become a much less appealing target to those who would exploit you. Start by noticing your self-talk. Many people with low self-esteem have an inner critic that's relentless, harsh, and unfair. Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself? If not, it's time to cultivate a kinder inner voice. One of the problems I've noticed when you have a narcissist in your life is that you may like how mean they sound to other people. In some cases, when they do it for you, you hold them in high esteem when they put people down, or how harsh they sound when correcting people. Instead of correcting someone with an encouraging tone, they'll say things like, "Keep quiet. Let me show you what to do." This looks cool to anyone else watching. The action might seem normal, but it leaves a different impression on the subconscious. It leaves the feeling that this overconfident person knows exactly what to do. Others can hardly be like them. This is the impression it leaves on the mind of sensitive people and those with low self-esteem. So for these types of people, once they get into a difficult situation, their subconscious releases that exact feeling. This is why you keep thinking, I can't do this on my own. I wish they were here to fix this. I wish they were here to help me out. These people are quick to say, that wouldn't have happened if I were around. They are quick to say it. What you don't know is that they're subconsciously conditioning you to think you can hardly do without them. Most times what people say is not what your subconscious records. So if you're sensitive or struggling with low self-esteem, please pay attention to these things. Pay attention to your boundaries. Practice saying no to small things as training for protecting yourself in bigger ways. Notice when you abandon your own needs to please others, and gently challenge yourself to maintain your position. Be wary of the love bomb. If someone is showering you with excessive attention, praise, and intensity early in a relationship, slow things down. Healthy love grows gradually. It doesn't explode overnight. Watch for the push-pull dynamic. If someone builds you up only to tear you down, if they're wonderful one day and cruel the next, trust that pattern more than their words of love. And most importantly, build a support network of people who genuinely care about your well-being. One of the first things a narcissist typically does is isolate you from friends and family. Maintaining those connections is crucial to maintaining your perspective. I want to touch briefly on the role of therapy in breaking these patterns. Working with a qualified mental health professional can be transformative when you're healing from narcissistic abuse or building self-esteem. Therapy provides a safe space to explore the roots of your self-worth issues, to challenge distorted beliefs about yourself, and to practice new ways of relating to others. It offers validation for your experiences and expert guidance on rebuilding your sense of self. If traditional therapy isn't accessible to you, consider support groups, both in person and online. There's tremendous healing power in sharing your story with others who understand, who can say, "Me too," who can reflect back to you the reality of what you've experienced. I want to leave you with this. Being vulnerable to narcissists doesn't mean you're weak or flawed. It often means you're empathetic, forgiving, and willing to see the best in others. All beautiful qualities that the world needs more of. The goal isn't to become cold or cynical, but to direct that warmth and empathy toward those who deserve it, including yourself. To develop what I call empathy with boundaries, the ability to care deeply while still protecting your own well-being. Remember that healing isn't linear. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, old patterns that resurface. Be patient with yourself. Each time you recognize a red flag you previously missed, each time you enforce a boundary you previously wouldn't have, you're growing stronger. And know this. You are inherently worthy of respect, kindness, and love, not because of what you achieve or how much you give or who you please, but simply because you exist. That worth cannot be diminished by anyone else's treatment of you. It is constant, unchanging, and true. And that's our exploration of why people with self-esteem issues often find themselves entangled with narcissists. I hope this gives you a framework for understanding this complex dynamic, whether you're experiencing it yourself or supporting someone who is. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more content on relationships, mental health, and personal growth. And share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. This community learns so much from each other's stories. Until next time, take good care of yourself. You deserve it.